And then let's move this out of the way. So like I said, I just want to start with the letter, you know, the inspiration for the letter. Thinking about the dimensions of it, I think of it as a little wider than it is tall. And I want to sketch it out and just make sure I feel comfortable drawing it and think about where it's going to go on this window. You know, ultimately it's going to be at an angle or, you know, a rectangle in perspective, but that's not the first time I want to be figuring out, you know, where this is going to fit. So across the top, I see the kind of width of those little flourishes. I did not brush up on my typography lingo over the weekend, so I'm still calling them that. And the width of these little bits on the bottom here too. I know that the V of this is going to be more or less in the middle. So I'm going to put that there. And now, was it Cat? Cat, you've got me thinking about these, how thick this side is compared to the other side. I'm feeling a little squished. By the time I make this M, I think I'm making it probably too small. I think I need to expand the size of this a bit more. It just seems like it needs to be wider. So as I go up and, you know, hit the top, I just feel like I need more room for some of this to occur. See how thin it gets up here? And then, you know, we get those legs of the M. You could use a ruler for this. I don't know if it matters so much. It's just really the plan. If I go straight up from here, is that the same as this? No, this actually comes in more. I would have said less. So I'm gonna make that a little longer, but I mean, these look more or less equal, so I'm not gonna get too crazy with that. Same thing over here. There is a little flat side to the M down there. And I noticed the M, the split right here, it happens lower down. It doesn't happen up, level with these things. Do you also notice this side is thicker than this side? So this is thicker than this, but this is thinner than that. All right, so something like this. And then I'm gonna just draw that halfway stuff again. Now, could I just print the M out and use that as a reference? Yeah, I could. I think it's good practice to draw it, though, and kind of acquaint yourself with the letter. All right, so we've done that. I'll still keep this here, but I'm going to set it off to the side a bit more. And I want to, we've talked a little bit about how these letters could be turned in space, so I think I'm going to work with, a little more of an angle on this. So I'll put one vanishing point in a bit further, one out, and I'm also going to start my letter over here more. And I'll do it. Do you guys have a preference? Can I do it on the horizon line, or would you like to see it some other relationship to the horizon line?
That's fine.
Okay. Now it's really important to do this X so we have the halfway in perspective. I am going to grab a colored pencil just so that this stays a little less confusing, hopefully, for you guys. So I apologize. Give me one more second. So remember, this is halfway, not where the horizon line is. Okay. So now I'm going to work to sketch in my letter. I want to start with kind of where these bigger parts are happening. And if I draw another X, they're kind of to the left of center, or right about at halfway. So I'm probably going to draw a couple more lines here. And then as far as down here, feels like this happens about halfway, where these come together. Then this point happens kind of in the top left quadrant, sort of, if I look at that diagonal right above, maybe right about here. And so I want the, these are going to be level, these 2 points. So once I find a point, I'm going to mark it for both. Remember, there's that little bit of flat for the M. And then I'm going to go straight down. Taking a look at where this curve is for the M, it seems to happen right on that diagonal. So I'm sort of thinking here somewhere. This is going to be the thinner side. So, you know, I don't know, maybe I don't have it thin enough. Let's go down here. And again, when I start to hit these angles, you know, the X's, I'm looking up here and noticing that's about where the curve starts to happen to finish that letter. So I want to draw back to the vanishing point, wherever. I think I'm tempted to make these things thicker than they really are. And I'm going to skip down here. And let's do the same thing down here. I'm sort of looking, you know, at the spacing down here, making sure that this spacing is a little bigger than this spacing. And then trying to also keep the curves related to one another. All right, so now we have the letter traced out. Do you guys have any questions, or do you feel comfortable with that part? And do you see how I used the edge of the box on every side? That way I'm certain that I've got, you know, some easy landmarks that I can find on the back end of things. It just doesn't look right, but I guess it's fine. Okay, so then now that I've got this letter, I want to draw, yeah, I didn't do this yet, I guess, but I'd like to draw the back side of the box and then start to sort of transfer this letter M from the front to the back. So I'm going to make a couple more lines just to show the back side of the box. I'm being careful with that because I really want these to line up. Okay, so do you guys see the back side of the box here, as well as the front side? Okay, so we're going to start basically transferring points from the front to the back. It's a little more complicated because of the curves, but let's deal with those last and deal with the corners first. So we've already got all 4 corners, outside corners of the letters drawn. So let's find the rest of them, the kind of more inside corners. So I've got this point going back to the vanishing point. I'm just going to work my whole way through the letter and get all of the lines. So there's this next corner that I need to draw back to the vanishing point. I can stop when I hit the back side of the box. Same thing down here. Then I'm going to have angles that go, this is on the front side of the box. This letter turns and goes in before it curves down. So I want to do the same thing on the back. I want to have this turn and go in. I don't know exactly where it's going to curve down, but I'm just going to draw it. Same thing here. This point, if I draw it, we are not going to be able to see it, but I still need to draw it because it's going to help me to do this angle if I need it. I'm also going to draw this point back and this point down here. We've got this corner. These other corners. Here's another corner I haven't drawn yet. Up here. The shape of the M comes up like this, and this is a corner. All right, so now let's deal with the, where does the M stop? In some places it's more obvious, and some places it isn't. Like right here, the letter clearly, gets interrupted by this other part of the letter before we hit the back side of the box. Up here, however, when I look for the back side of the box, which is right here, I follow this edge and I end right there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that point corresponds to this point, and as we leave that point, we need to be drawing this angle. So it's not an angle in perspective, it's just trying to get that angle, bring it over, and match it as best we can. Now this is where line variation starts to be really helpful. If we can draw the letter in the front a little heavier and darker, it's going to do so much to help us, our eyes separate this out. So coming up here, I may darken this as well. See how that just starts to stand out a little bit more? So then let's see, what's another spot? So in here, the inside of the M in here, where does this, will I see through? I know I see kind of the ground in here. As I follow the edge of this back, I hit the back of the box back here. This is the back corner. So I'm not going to see any of this letter. This angle of the M, it's going to happen all back here, hidden, more or less. So we're okay there. We're okay there. I think we're good there too, but we need to do this front most side. So I think like I said, the curves can be problematic, but let's do kind of everything but the curves. So I want to know where the curve is going to start and where the curve is going to end. I want to draw this line down to where the curve starts again, and I'm going to mark where the curve ends. So I can basically back into doing that curve. So I'm going back to the back side of the letter. Here I don't know where the back side of the letter is, so I'm just going to draw a line all the way back. Again, just going to go all the way back, and then this point where the curve starts, I do have that, where I can see it. I need to figure out where these lines go. Where does the back side of this vertical letter happen? So that's that same thing I've been talking to you guys about with sort of wrapping a ribbon around or finding your way to the back. Another way you could think of it is, what if we just cut this whole part off? All of this right here, this extra piece. What if we just cut it off and we just draw this as if it's a box without any of those extra details? We draw it back, and then at the back side of the box, we would have to end it right here and go back up. Do you see what I'm doing there? So when I go up, I can just draw it all the way up. But this point, the point where the curve starts on this side, that's my straight part from here to here. From there to there, we're going to have to create a curve. So just like this point and this point are related, this point and this point are related. So I'm going to try to eyeball a curve into that. And down here, same thing. I know where this beginning of the curve corresponds to by going back to this point. So from here to here, I want to have a curve. And that's going to help me finish that letter. Do you guys have any questions about that?
I guess the hardest part would just be trying to figure out, okay, where does the curve go?
Mm-hmm. And I think having these points is really helpful, kind of blocking in, like, where did the curve start, where did the curve end, and then approaching it like that. So maybe I can also work with shading this for you guys. Would you guys like to see another letter in Times New Roman, or would you like me to move into that hatching and cross hatching demo?
I guess another one.
Another letter?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have a letter they'd like to request?
You do that.